Yo, I have returned. How are you? I hope you've been well since the last video. So it's been about a week since my last video, so sorry for the delay on this. I wanted to take the past couple of days just to think about the future of this channel, what kind of videos I want to post, and I have a lot of ideas for future videos. I'll talk about those briefly. I'm planning on doing a beginner's guide to music theory, so like a completely comprehensive walkthrough of all the basics, just so that, you know, like if some of the concepts I'm talking about in these theory videos are making you a little confused or they're a little bit too far ahead for you, you can go to that video and study it and then hopefully come back here and this will all make a little more sense to you. Okay, in this video, I want to talk about another theory thing that I think is super cool, and it's called hybrid chords. A song that uses them really well, I think, is Take a Chance by DOMi and BECK, which I was just studying yesterday. So I'm going to play that progression, then I'm going to walk you through the progression, why it's working, what's going on. All right, so these are the chords in the verse of the song. That is so freaking cool, man. All right, so let's talk about this progression. I would say this is in B minor. The only chord that makes me a little skeptical of that is this F sharp, which Chordy is telling me is the F sharp 9 sus 4, which I would agree with. And chords like this, actually the first chord too, I would call both of these hybrid chords. Okay, so what is a hybrid chord? So in the last chord video, we talked about extensions. Let's just take an E major chord, for example. You have the basic E major triad, and then you can start adding extensions. The 7th, the 9th, the 11th, so on and so forth. And so what makes a hybrid chord is the extensions that are past the major third or the minor third. And generally a hybrid chord will not contain key notes in the chord like the major third or the fifth. So for example, I would say this is a hybrid chord, and the reason I say that is because it doesn't really sound like an E major or an E minor chord. It sounds like something a little more ambiguous. And the interesting thing about this is it's got a D in it, it's got an F sharp, an A, which technically would be from an E minor 11 chord. But it's also got this C sharp, which makes it really. So like, I probably wouldn't play this as a major or a minor chord. It really only works as a hybrid chord to me. Now I'm going to play this progression and change this F sharp to a dominant chord on the way up and then to a minor 9 chord on the way down, and we're going to see how it sounds. Neither of those make any sense to me, and they don't really sound good, frankly. Making this a hybrid chord, so this 9 sus 4, just sounds so much better to me. And I think the reason that this is working is because of the voice leading between the notes. If we make this F sharp a major chord, this C sharp has to drop down a minor third, which sounds super unpleasing to me. And if we make this a minor chord, it's even worse because it has to jump down a major third, which once again, the voice leading just doesn't sound good to me because the final chord we're trying to get to is this B chord. And this is the main point I want to get to in this video. It's how you use hybrid chords to get to another chord in your key. Hybrid chords can take you out of the key for a moment, but most of the time you want to get back to a chord that's in the key. And it's always good to have an end goal in mind, you know? So for me, when I'm listening to this, the end goal is this B minor, which is the 1. And so the reason that using these hybrid chords works so well in this progression is, in my mind, because we start on this E13 sus, which is already such an ambiguous chord. To me, you could go anywhere from this chord, and I think that's what's really important, is having an end goal in mind and starting somewhere that gives you room to explore and take a different route to get to the final chord. All right, so now let's talk about the bridge. The bridge modulates, so I'm going to play the verse chord progression once and then go into the bridge. Damn. That is just craziness. So why is this working, and how does this work? I do think the reason that this works is because DOMi surprises us for a second by going to the C major chord, completely outside of the key. Most of these notes are not found in B minor, but immediately after, she only lingers on this chord for about a second, and she goes right back to B minor. This is the reason I love this song so much. It's because, like, the chord changes that are happening here are crazy, but they're super, super digestible because DOMi's made it easy for the listener. Like, these chords, she's already played a bunch of times in this song, so our ear is already used to it, and the only chord that is like, whoa, what just happened, is this C major. But, you know, she immediately brings us back to a place of comfort, somewhere we're used to right after that C major chord. Okay, so that's the bridge. Now, let's talk about the chorus. The chorus, this part's crazy. I won't say much more about it. I'll just play it. Once again, since it modulates, I'm going to play the bridge and then go into the chorus.
Hold on, just let go of who I used to be. Right now, I need you to take a chance on me.
This shit is so sick, man. Okay, so I realized when I was editing this that I really did not explain this well, so I'm going to re-record this section and hopefully do a better job of explaining it. So in the bridge, we start on C major, then we go to B minor, and then to this E13 sus chord. And this is another example of this chord being so ambiguous that it lets us go to a new place harmonically. And we go to the C sharp major chord, which is so far removed from anything in B minor. What DOMi is doing here is she's using a technique called raising or lowering scale tones. This is another example of non-diatonic chords that work really, really well. And it's a super simple non-diatonic chord. It's just a major chord. But it's used in such a way that it makes the transition so smooth. And it does come out of nowhere a little bit, but it really hits you with this warm feeling. And when the chorus hits, it just feels like such a warm hug. And so what's happening here is, once again, we're raising this scale tone. So normally, this would be a minor chord with an E as the minor third. And what DOMi's doing is she's raising the scale tone to an F, which is outside of the key, but it helps us modulate to the new key, which is either C sharp major or A sharp minor. And this is something you can do in major keys also. So let's say we're in B major.
what you can do is you can lower the 6 and the 7 of the scale. So normally that would be a G sharp and an A sharp. We can lower those to a G and an A and play major chords, and it gives it this really triumphant feeling. It sounds like this. And so this is pretty much what DOMi's doing. She's just altering a note in the scale. This C sharp and A sharp, the C sharp is already in the scale, so she plays that first. So we're starting it somewhere familiar. And the G sharp is outside of the scale. Once these two notes hit, we already know we're going to someplace new. And then the F hits, and it really solidifies that motion into a new key. And this is a very unusual transition because the chord that is transitioning into the next key is the major one of the key. Usually a transition or resolving a progression involves some kind of a 5 chord or maybe a diminished chord that leads like up a half step to the new key. But instead, she just plays the 1 and then goes straight into the minor third, which is unusual but sounds so good here. I think the last thing I'll say about this section and why the modulation works is because it's unexpected. This part is completely defying your expectations, taking you to a place you never thought you could go before from B minor, and goes to this completely new place, but it feels good. This is kind of a life lesson and a music lesson. You know, if you only do things that you're comfortable with, you're never going to grow. But if you step out of your comfort zone every once in a while and go somewhere new, then you'll finally start growing as a person. And that's what this chord progression feels like to me. It's like you're like, the song is growing, it's evolving, it's going somewhere, it's growing up. It feels a little older when the chorus hits, and it feels like it's welcoming you home. That was kind of an experimental explanation, but it's honestly the best I can offer because I'm not up to the level of someone like DOMi yet. Yeah, I hope to be able to make more videos like this, and I hope you all can follow me on my musical journey and hopefully grow with me. So let me know if this kind of video is something you'd like to see again. Like I said, I have a bunch of videos planned for the future, so keep an eye out for that. And otherwise, have a great day. Peace.